For example, the those of us, we always call ourselves top faith family. We have our culture, we have our vision, we have our core values, which are part of the vision. We usually say that our vision and core value is as simple as A, B, C, D, E. We make it very simple. The Reverend mentioned it. In your individual family, you must create that vision. For us, we have it as A, B, C, D, E. We say letter A stands for achievement. Achievement psychology, achievement orientation, achievement. So for our little children, the first thing he recognizes is the fact that part of our vision is to have aspiration to achieve positive things. Letter A. Letter B, benevolence. Kindness. They aim at excellence. So, ladies and gentlemen, when Pastor was talking about vision, I knew he got it right. And therefore, as a driving force, that becomes a takeaway. If as at this minute and this time, in your respective families and lives, and in your institutions and organizations, whether you are running a church, a school, a family, whatever you are doing, you must create a vision, clear vision. What do we want to stand for? That will permeate, that will sink into the ones that you are nurturing. In that process, young ones will grow with that mentality. They will grow to understand that they're not supposed to be telling lies. They grow to understand they're not supposed to cheat people. They grow to appreciate not to cut corners. They grow to understand that sometimes shortcuts will cut you short. They grow to understand diligence and discipline. They grow to reflect, my God, as I'm stepping out, if I do this, my parents at home, and they hear that this is done by me, how will they feel? How will my pastor feel? How will my auntie feel, even when they're in school? So, ladies and gentlemen, you must also set high standards. Value expectation. Pastor talked about value. So even if you are an institution, if you are the head of an institution, you must also define vision. You must also set standard. That is where the training. Yesterday, I had an opportunity to speak to a young man who was looking for a job in our university. And I chatted with him. I asked him one simple question. The guy has an HND in public administration. And I said, fine. You've graduated. You spent 2 years OND, one year industrial attachment, 2 years HND. You went for youth service. You are back. what was the vision of your institution? He didn't know. What was, in fact, he answered and said, I think the school, they still want to go forward. Simple question. What did the school tell you was their vision in training you? Say, hey, sir, I think they said, in fact, I know that they will still want to go forward. That is the truth. I like you were with me. So I smiled. And I told him, did your school have a motto? Nearly did he say, no, he was a boss. I stopped him from saying that. He didn't remember. So I took his certificate, a copy, and looked at it. And I saw excellence in learning inscribed on the certificate. And I said, fresh, during your study in, in that school? He said, sir, once in a while. And I now asked him, when you guys were admitted into year 1, naturally a school will give you orientation and put you through certain things. How will you judge that kind of person? The school system has failed in nurturing him, in building him up, or he has failed in taking advantage of the situation. So this is a serious thought for food. For those of us that are in education, for those of us that are in religious organizations, for those of us that are in the family. That is something that I need to emphasize. That setting standard, creating value, and ensuring that this value permeates the system is a process. So don't just take it in and think that having said it once, that it can never be repeated. There are a lot of those. I decided to put those things to engage us in our thought process, both from the individual standpoint and from the institutional standpoint. If you are running an institution that does not have a clear vision that you share with everyone, get it done. Sometimes you find institutions create vision statement and it's almost a whole page. A whole page. There's nothing wrong with writing thesis for me. But it is only difficult to get it into the heart of the people. In our family, in school, we say our vision is to educate for global relevance. As simple as that. To educate for global relevance. If you catch any of my students and say, what is the vision of your school? It wouldn't take him 1 second to repeat that. And I say, and we agree, if you are to be educated for global relevance, it means you must be competitive anywhere in the world that you go. So your learning must not be domestic only. You must have a mindset that a Canadian can speak to me and I'm able to converse with him or her properly. We have a mission statement, and our mission statement simply says to provide total quality education. Simple. And that is what to guide our staff and me. I will be thinking, if a teacher is teaching in class, if a worker is working, this thing that I'm doing, is it in line with our mission? Will this thing that I'm doing enable me to provide total quality education? If not, I should do something different. By the same token, when we're looking at the core value I've enumerated before, if I'm behaving, if I'm doing something, this thing that I'm doing, what achievement is leading me to? It has to touch my mind. If your mind is not touched, or somebody else's mind is not touched, you are obviously not raising anything. You've not created any impact in the mind. You might create impact in the body, The eye will see the thing, wait for you, set exam, the child will pass. This young man that I told you about had upper credit. I told him that I saw credit in his paper, but I did not see upper. Because he couldn't answer any of my questions with depth. Meaning that his soul and his spirit was not touched. And therefore, he hasn't been raised to the level of consciousness. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, taking for example an institution. You know, Nigeria has national anthem, it has the pledge, the coat of arms, the Nigerian flag. They just teach those things in our school. We decode it. The Nigerian flag has 3 colors. Okay? In exam, you said the child will say 3 colors, tick. Coat of arms, what are they? White horse, blah, blah, blah. In other climes, ladies and gentlemen, they will teach those things and decode them to enter the mind. That's why in my school I have stopped national anthem being played on that platform. Sing it so that it touches you. That thing is both a prayer and an undertaking and a recital. Arise, O compatriots. Nigeria's call, obey. What does that mean? You just don't know how to sing it as a parrot. If an institution is to raise someone who is to believe in that national anthem, that someone must understand it. Who is a compatriot? What is Nigeria's call? Why must he obey it? The works of our heroes past shall never be in vain. Why? Why will it not be? Why should it not be? What were the works? Who were the heroes? These questions, in many circumstances, are not answered. Let us sing national anthem, stand attention. We are singing the national anthem, attention. And they will play from somewhere, from the keyboard. Ladies and gentlemen, it is obviously my advocacy that we're not actually setting standard. And that is not helping us to build people who will say, I am asked to obey Nigerian call. I should obey it. I'm asked to remember that the work of former heroes shall never be in vain. Then I must maintain a certain standard of life, a certain standard of behavior, certain standard of study. What did Nnamdi Azikiwe do? What did Obafemi Awolowo do? What of Tafawa Balewa? What happened? What did they do to be remembered today? Ladies and gentlemen, if you have those responsibilities, I said I was not going to say much about the family because Pastor had done justice to it. The only thing I want to say there is what Abdul Kalam said. He says, if a country is to be corruption-free, we are all fighting corruption in this country, and become a nation of beautiful minds, this man strongly feels there are only 3 key societal members who can make this difference. So when we are shouting corruption, blah, 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 listen to, and I believe this, these are the father, the mother, and the teacher. That's the family and the schools. The father, the mother. Some of us mothers and fathers pamper these children. You're not grooming them to become nation builders. Unfortunately, some parents and some fathers and mothers support these children doing examination malpractice. These are things that will not build good character for good nation building. Okay. Good. We have some of us here are involved in government organizations, government institutions. I've mentioned a lot of it already. What should you do? I watched my good friend, His Excellency, former Governor Peter Obi, was addressing young people a couple of days ago. And he said something about governance. He said that many businesses operated by even young people and old people have been frustrated by the behavior of government. He indicated that if you look at businesses that are owed money, contractors, government owes a lot. Forget about whether they were good, genuine contracts or not. But if someone comes and says, I can supply laptop to the Minister of Finance, and they give him APO, they give him whether the price is inflated or not, the guy goes to the bank, borrows money, buys 100 laptops, supplies, and then goes around paying. Unfortunately, sometimes, some people might say, okay, let us have our own court first. He pays all that and goes home. And at the end of the day, he is not paid. The bank is calculating interest. Business is suffering. Tell me what kind of patriotic mind that businessman will have in building the nation. So, whether you are in government opportunity office, private or wherever you are, there's need for you and me to see how we can promote people of our own. Governmental and democratic institutions should identify and order national heroes to represent mentors for young and upcoming people. Nigeria is very happy, some parts of Nigeria is very happy if somebody makes a lot of noise. Say, okay, you give a chieftaincy title, this award, that award. Some people even pay for the award and buy. Government should recognize and appreciate local talent. Let me be very frank with you, ladies and gentlemen. From my experience and research of people and myself, Nigerians are very talented. I will be very proud. I'm usually very proud to say that thing was made in Aba. When National Universities Commission came to inspect our university, basically all the equipment that we had in our medical center about the Madara market, more than 90% were locally fabricated. They showed me the foreign ones. I said, I don't want. They showed me the foreign base, hospital base. I said, I don't want it. I said, I need the one that is fabricated here. In our library, there's this thing called catalog card box. They showed me the foreign one. I said, I don't want it. And one young man went to Onitsha and bought the one that is manufactured in Nigeria, and I kept it there. And it's working for me. Nigerians can do wonderful things. That is the only way you can nurse nation builders, to encourage local talents in every ramification. Listen to the young lady that came out here to sing. It's going to be better. It's going to be better, better, better. Believe in it. Listen to that. Listen to. If you saw her, the clapping was not enough. I wish I had an opportunity. I would have asked you to clap for her again. So please clap for her again. For me, that was a wonderful talent. We have them, ladies and gentlemen. And that is the way to raise the consciousness of people to build this nation. What about patriotism? unity and shared vision. When you attach too much, a lot more importance to mundane things, you are discouraging other people. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are in any institution that has responsibility to promote unity, do it with all your might. The young ones will emulate you. If you go to somebody wants to come and obtain certificate of origin. Somebody wants to in the local government area. That's a government institution. So, you want certificate of origin? No problem. It will cost you 5,000 naira. Why should a citizen buy a certificate of origin? Why will that person be proud to belong there? Ladies and gentlemen, government institutions and all of us should do something in such a manner that I will feel proud to be part of you. I've talked about patronizing local goods. The tendency to import everything, even by government. I was in Malaysia sometime not too long ago. We were in a lunch. And the MD of the company I went was talking, said, these people, our cars, our locally made cars are becoming more costly. We are not happy. We're not happy. So I told him, okay, the cars are made in Malaysia. He said, yes, all our cars here are made here. I said, okay. Your own is even very good. You are only complaining. Ask me about my country called Nigeria. I will only be lamenting because I would have been happy to patronize cars made or assembled in Nigeria. Mine is lamentation. Yours is complaint. Which one is worse? I'm lamenting because I don't seem to have a solution. Why will I say, oh, no, this one is made in Aba, I kick it? To the extent that somebody will be doing something wonderful and we put made in Japan. And you and I will rush. Okay, this shoe is made in Italy. Ladies and gentlemen, the best shoes are made in Aba. I was a banker for many years, and I know what it means. I remember that I used to coordinate the bringing of hides and skin from the north to this city. And so we have not become proud of the things we can do. How can you build a nation? How will somebody be proud to say those things? So our attitude must change. Our attitude must change. What about our young ones? Wherever we are, we need to recognize our young ones. And government should do that as an institution. I'm broadcasting this so that some of us here that have relationship in government institutions are involved. We need to put our minds back. Government institutions should respect, value, and give the youth appropriate opportunities in the social, economic, and political landscape of this country. On the screen there, you find 10 youngest leaders in the world. You are familiar with Kim Jong-un. The guy is just about 33 years old and is ruling North Korea. He's there. The Emir of Qatar. The Emir of Qatar. A country that's going to host the World Cup next year. And that place is a desert turned into Canaan. He has one of the best airlines in the world. He's going to have a stadium that is fully air-conditioned everywhere for the World Cup. He's ruled by just a 37-year-old young man. 37-year-old. We all know about France. A man who has a wife older than he is. He's ruling France. Republic of France. The guy that's ruling Estonia is just 39 years old. The Prime Minister of Dominica is 45 years. The Prime Minister of Greece, Greece is a great country in Europe, is just 43 years old. The Prime Minister of Belgium, not Belgium cars, but Belgium country. Belgium country is only 41 years old. How did they get there? How do you nurse this kind of people? And for me, these are very vibrant people. Whether you like it or not, our youth may look troublesome because we have made them to be troublesome. But they have something to offer. And therefore, whatever opportunity we have, we should encourage them to be part of this transformational process. Nelson Mandela, in appreciation of what I'm trying to say here, before he died, said, part of building a new nation means building a spirit of tolerance, love, and respect amongst the people of the country. South Africa is not homogeneous. Something has to be done. So if you have an opportunity to take decision, take cognizance of the fact that the galvanizing force that will create proper nation building has to do with tolerance for one another, love for one another, and respect for one another. That's critical. This other one is important for me and you. We're in democracy. In a democracy, the well-being, individuality, and happiness of every citizen is important for the overall prosperity, peace, and happiness of the nation. That's why I said some of our young ones behave the way we behave because we seem to have excluded them. They may be stubborn, but in my language, they will ask you, hear from both sides, because there's no smoke without fire. Hear from a young man who goes to school, gets cheated by the poor school system, comes up with very shallow knowledge, he cannot compete in the labor market, he does not have good skill, walks the street, is hungry, he's growing. Every day he's adding to his age. He has something to think of. In economics that I studied, this is what we call theory of rational behavior, rational thinking. A rational human being should be expecting something good. And when you relieve what your expectation is, your rational expectation has been frustrated by circumstances that you think could have been different, then you have been pushed to the wall. And you need to, even if you have to scrub your back on the wall will get dirty. So it is important for us to take note of this as operators of institutions are not blocks. They're operated by human beings. If you want to build a nation, this is very important. We have to create patriotism first. And what is patriotism? You and I know that one. The love of our country. Why should I love my country? I was telling Ike, because of the nature of the road from Akwa Ibom to this place, why didn't he give me the favor to speak on the screen like Pastor Osiri? He laughed. Because I would have spared myself the stress of dancing, sunto, and all kinds of things on the road. I was telling my friend, this road, part of it has been patched, part of it was some red sand has been poured there, somebody abandons it. It's not unlikely that somebody has been certified to have finished that job. And part of that money might be somewhere, either in pound sterling or in dollars or in something else. Where is the love of the country? Where is the institutional love in this process? Patriotism is created. I must love to follow my government, because I have seen aspiration that the government is thinking about me. So, ladies and gentlemen, whatever institutions you are, you must be part of the creation of patriotism. Behave in such a manner that I will be convinced that I should also sacrifice. A nation's culture, talked about culture. It does not reside in buildings, like Pastor Osiri said. It resides in the heart and in the soul of the people. I've said that already. So if it is not in your soul, I mentioned the issue of national anthem. Arise, O compatriots. Nigeria's call, obey. Which call? Who are the compatriots? Who is giving that order, self, for you and me to arise? Has the person arisen? It's a clarion call. Have we been carried along? So if you are part of it, that has to touch my heart. I mentioned to you the fact that I make sure my children sing the anthem by their mouth and let it enter into their heart and touch their souls. Playing it on the keyboard is just, for me, it doesn't touch anybody. It doesn't mean anything to any child. Even to you and me. If I just say, let us sing national anthem now, and you stand up and they put it on the keyboard, it doesn't mean anything. But if I force you to sing that thing and say the pledge, so help me God, it's like you put some prayer on yourself. You have asked God to help you because you have pledged to your country, Nigeria, to be faithful and honest. Are you faithful? Are you honest? Has God not helped you? Have you even helped God to help you? These are the things. So the heart must be touched. The heart must be touched. So I talked about institutions, and I mentioned a couple of them, including religious institutions. These days, from experience, many religious institutions do not seem to understand and appreciate the need for selfless things and searching for souls that will touch the souls of others. It is your responsibility. That one is very simple, and every one of us is aware of what the role. It has a very crucial role in touching the heart and mind. You hear of cases, a couple of days ago I was with a lawyer in Abuja who says he's pursuing a case of this, something similar to MMM. Somebody was duped, 41 million naira. The guy stays in the UK, and they said if you bring 5 million, less than 5 million, we'll pay you 15% per month. And the guy went and probably, don't know what he got in the UK, sent money home, and the money is gone. And he now went to that my friend's office to consult. And the man says that he understands that those people that tricked him to bring that kind of money went to one church one day and donated 10 million naira. That they are also trying to trace the pastor of the church. So materialism. How would that build a nation? Pastors are supposed to be very conservative. And of course, the Lord God gives them the character, the countenance, and the temperament to know those things. And they need to have that opportunity to advise and create the enabling environment for members to be nation builders. So that you do the right thing and get the right result. I'd like to quickly move to educational institutions. I decided not to concentrate on that. Only education is because all of us are involved in nurturing and nursing people that are supposed to build the nation. Quality education is the key to building a nation. Simple. And all of us know what is quality. That which is good, that which is acceptable, that which is useful, that which is usable, that which can be functional. And you use it to change society, change people. Educational institutions have big responsibilities, which I should not overemphasize. All of us know that. The only thing I want to emphasize is how do educational institutions contribute significantly, step by step, to nurturing people that will be conscious of building the nation. And I will simply say, those involved in that assignment should take it as a very serious assignment and as a process. The very fact that you are teaching a child today and he doesn't seem to understand does not mean that he or she is empty. Therefore, you require patience. In addition to that, I must recall what I have already said. The issue of imparting knowledge, wisdom, facts, and figures that will penetrate and touch the mind, the heart, and the soul. Many of us in educational institutions are more particular about the body. The child sits down, reads, memorizes something, walks away. The example, the case I just gave you at my beginning, when I talked about the guy who came for work, at a point when he could not answer any of my questions. And I said, my friend, what happened? He said, sir, you know those of us who are just, when you have just finished school, when you have left the school, you forget everything. He opened his mouth to say that kind of thing. That's why I say it's either the school system had cheated him or he attempted to cheat the school system. And I told him, fine, that has played out now in your wall of work, in your life of work. So the onus is on us, also on the home, the family, that have been properly addressed to handle young ones and everyone with due diligence and discipline, due process and procedure and protocol, in such a way that whatever is downloaded to them will touch their heart, their mind, and their soul. And then they apply their body to it. That's the spirit of education. That young woman says something. Part of education, intelligence plus character. That is the goal of true education. She is quoting Martin Luther King Jr. So if you are in education and you want to raise people who are going to contribute to nation building, character is number one. The other pedagogy, the other ones that you teach them to do titration in chemistry, recite poems in literature, and then make all kinds of things, do experiments and all that, those are very psychomotor. They are very physical. Machines can do some of those things. Computers can do some of those things. But it is somebody who must use his head to create apps so that computer can take over and do those things. And that's the most important personality. Computer cannot exist without a human. So it is the human mind and it is character that is the greatest. And so whatever we are doing in the institutional setups of schools, whatever the level, the issue of a child being made to understand that it is wrong to tell lies, it is wrong to disrespect, it is wrong. Don't worry about saying, today's children, computer-age children, that's how they behave. You cannot create the enabling environment for those children to be leaders of proper tomorrow if you surrender to computer age and become a computer parent. Some parents will just put on their television, put on videos, put on all kinds of cartoons, and walk away. That's a case where I think parents brought some video. They didn't know that there was a violent video where they used gun, these toy guns. And sometimes the kind of toys you also get to your children also influence them. A young child of, I think, 13, 14 years sourced toy gun in secondary school and went out live to the road. And of course, no matter how brave you are, in the wee hours of the evening, if you see something like a gun, you won't wait to know whether it is toy. Will you wait and say, hi, guy, is that toy or real? You won't wait. You will run for your dear life. So this young man just removed the thing. Before you knew it, the man on the motorcycle dropped his motorcycle and ran away. And the guy carried the motorcycle. Toy gun. And when he was interrogated, he said he learnt it because he used to watch film that they used gun, the toy gun, and scare people. He wanted to experiment. So, ladies and gentlemen, parenting has to do with a lot of things. Schooling and teaching also has a lot to do with some of these things. The principal goal of education in the schools should be creating men and women who are capable of doing new things, not simply repeating what other generations have done. That's the one I talked about, just touching the body. Just touching the body. That is not enough. It will not create the enabling environment for them to think about what happened to their country tomorrow. I mentioned the fact that we need to have situations where we mentor people, especially the young ones. Ido is a commentator on public affairs. Says, show me the heroes that the youth of your country look up to, and I will tell you the future of your country. So show me. As of today, who are the heroes? If I ask each and every one of us here, tell me the hero that you want your child at home to be like in Nigeria in the last 20 years. Say in the last 20 years, I want you to aspire to be like X, to be like Y. For today's children, they'll tell Daddy, why? What has he done? Ladies and gentlemen, tell me what would have said that person has done. So we need to also groom heroes to be able to motivate our children. If you groom heroes, you also have to do some other assignment as educational institutions. If you identify those heroes, unfortunately, the school system these days does not teach proper history. I say unfortunately because in America, if you don't pass American history in any subject you do, you can never get a degree. American history and constitution. The same thing in the UK. Even though the UK constitution is unwritten, but you must learn it. So in Nigeria, unfortunately, I don't know who invented that technology that you young people should not learn history. But schools should try to do it. What do we do in our school? Days like 1st October, we subject it to rigorous analysis of what is independence, who are the guys that were behind independence, why did they do what they did, how did they go about it, what exactly should somebody do to improve upon what they have done. It's precisely a counseling process. And that should also be taken care of. Of course, I'm aware that they are trying to bring back history, but I don't know how. and when. That is going to be important. You guys are young. If I ask you now to identify these faces and tell me what each of them did that has affected your life, I can assure you I will not get up to 80% of you who will know them. Simply because you have not been told. You've not got an opportunity. So if you haven't known what these guys did, if you have not appreciated what these guys did, how will you tell your child, I want you to behave like Obafemi Awolowo and do better than him? So wherever we are, we need to go back and think about this. Even in the home, mentorship. In schools, heroic mentorship. Historical mentorship. I don't want to ask these questions because I know a lot of us will not know these people. Okay, let me say this. Which of these pictures don't you know? We know all. If I ask you to mention their names, I don't want to ask about what they did that has affected you and me today. That we can tell you, our young ones, if you want to be a nation builder, think of what these guys did, which helped us to be where we are. How can you improve upon what they did? You have Tafa Babalewa there. You have Obafemi Awolowo there. You have Nnamdi Azikiwe there. You have Herbert Macaulay there. You have Margaret Ekpo there. You have Ransom Kuti there. You have Kudira Abiola there. You have all those characters there. What did they do? What can you do better? So, ladies and gentlemen, educational institutions, the role of institution is to be historical and to reinvent the patriotic moves, the nation-building characteristics, the sacrifices. These are the heroes past. What they sacrifice is what the national anthem says. Will this be in vain? That question should be posed to all of us. These guys fought and got independence for us on a platter of gold. You ladies, but for Margaret Ekpo and the rest of the people, would have been paying tax like me, very heavily. Very, very heavy, very heavy. They went round and scattered that arrangement. So what will you do? I will expect women of this day to also go on the street and say, men should not pay tax. Let us, so your name will also appear. Who wants to lead that move? On a serious note, ladies and gentlemen, we need to identify heroes. We need to see so that young ones who have minds. You see, if you check young children, go to the embassies. All their eyes are abroad. They want to go to Canada. They want to go to this. They want to go to Malaysia, South Africa, here and there. They run over the world. Why? Why? Because it doesn't seem as if there's someone here that is inspiring them. It doesn't seem as if there's someone here that is motivating them. Somebody that is selling hope. But if we let them know that, fine, tough times never last, but tough people do, then we can have people who are young enough to think that, look, I am thinking of something to myself. I'll overdo Obafemi Awolowo's free education. I'll see what I can do to outdo Herbert Macaulay's move towards independence of Nigeria. Yes, we are independent. We're a sovereign nation. How can we be economically independent? How can we be socially more cohesive? How can we defeat religious differences? How can we make sure that our political system is stable? How can we ensure that electoral processes are well organized? How can I mobilize my young people to say, look, let us not be touts. Let it be known that I spearheaded the process. The fact that we're not going to be used as political thoughts. What is the hope? So, ladies and gentlemen, these are some of those things. And for me, in the educational system, okay, take the next slide for me. Fine, leave it there. For those of us in the educational system, that seems to be one of the key things, the content of education that we should disburse, that will tickle the minds of this and upcoming generation. It is popularized and called 21st century education. If you look at it, it's a cobweb of things, and is applicable to every dimension and every level of education, even right from home. You have 21st century education at the center. The one that has black coloration, which stands out prominently, which could be characterized as number one, is character. Character education. Character building. Like Reverend Osiri said, if you build that character from the home, and the school reinforces that character, disciplinary process of doing things. Some people who went to the seminary or mission schools in those days, or even Islamic schools, they have their character code. And they seem to conform with the proverbs that train up a child in the way he should go, that when he or she grows up, he will not depart. But if a child is trained on nothing specific, no code of behavior, if he doesn't know what to do, he will do what he knows. It's as simple as that. If he doesn't know what to do, he does what he knows. And juvenile mentality is what he knows. It's not going to be very positive. So, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm talking about education, how will it contribute to building people who will be conscious of the nation? Character, character, character. If you look at academics, which is the pedagogy, the details of whether you say how many states are in Nigeria, 36. Who is the governor of Abia State? Dr. X. Who is governor of Akwa Ibom State? Blah, blah, blah. Those ones are rhetorics. Those ones are rhetorics. Can teach anybody to memorize all that. That is why you find academics just hiding out here. Another aspect that is identified with black, that is very critical, that we need to teach our children, who are supposed to be nation builders, is teamwork. And you find it there. Teamwork. Because it is teamwork and his character that will make him to mobilize people and galvanize his ideology, his instinct, his thinking, his skills, and disburse it to followers, and things will be achieved. That's why sometimes you find many people who go to school to make first class in their degrees, and they may not make the best human beings in the world. You find someone who went and made third class, rule the world in his own field and in many other areas. You should find out and be curious as to why this. Oh, we went to this boy used to be first. And meanwhile, the guy who used to be number 20 or 40 is the one who is 8 after school for achieving one thing or the other. There must be a reason for this. The school must teach the child to think critically, capacity to look at things. That is when he will be resistant to peer pressure, resistant to toggery, resistant to cultism. I said, no. No. That will not take me to somewhere that is good. The capacity of discernment of good and bad. Capacity to discern. These have become very critical elements of education in the 21st century and should constitute part of the silent curriculum. They are not embedded in the normal curriculum. So schools should begin to think of things like that. You have many other things. Citizenship. Citizenship. If you run around, move around the back, find big vehicles, big things evacuating rubbish and garbage and everywhere. Why should a child, why should someone throw something on the street? Anyhow. Litter displayed anyhow. These are things that must be taught. Emotional intelligence, caring about one another. In other words, what does my own behavior do to his? You should start from the cradle. These are the things for you in the education sector to be in a position to touch the mind, the heart, and the soul, and allow the body to carry these things along. These basically non-curricular issues must come to the fore on top of the academics and literacy. Simply capacity to read and write. Planning skills, goal-setting skills, problem-solving skills. The other one that also in black that you see here is service. Pastor mentioned that in our days, if you see an old man, maybe like me, and you are sitting down and there's no other seat, first thing to do is to get away. Today, the young ones will see you. Even the disabled one will see and you're looking at. You won't even shift. Some of them won't even shift. We need to teach them this attitude, this character, this responsibility. And that is the only time someone will think that, look, this nation deserves a better social configuration, a better social culture. Otherwise, he takes things for granted. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is just for you and me to think about. It's not only meant for those in education. Everyone is involved because everything in that map, in that curve of a map, revolves around what makes a total person. That's why in our top first school system, we said our mission is to disburse total quality education, to build the total personality, to be conscious of the environment, to be emotionally stable, to be able to think out critically, to be able to understand issues and predict problems and contribute to solutions. When somebody has this capacity, citizenship skill becomes paramount. And definitely such a person will think nation, will think society, will think welfare, and should be able to contribute to nation building as part of the institutional contribution. Peer groups, the same thing. We need to understand also where our children belong to. Today's cult world is not the kind of peer group we are talking about. So we need to know who they are that they are associating with. How positive, what kind of influence does such association have on their psychology and their approach in the family to themselves? That is why Oprah Winfrey simply says, only surround yourself. We should be able to let our children know this. Only surround yourself with people who will lift you up higher. Those who discourage you, those who send you to some different skepticism, will not promote your upward movement. Same thing goes for the children. So it's important for us to know that the groups we belong to, the associations we keep, help us to think nationally. I keep ITK because it promotes my psychology regarding attention to the home through parenting. It disposes a very erudite attitude to making things better for society. He has that psychology and wishes that he had a magic wand to simply say, let there be development, as if they would have said, let there be light. When you associate with people who think like that, positively engaging you every time, that is where your psychology will go. That's where your attitude will go. NGOs, some people, they are institutions. You know, people go and incorporate NGOs and use it for one kind of thing or the other. There should also be people who, NGOs are supposed to be non-governmental organizations that are welfarist in nature. They're not profit people. We should be told that, oh, an NGO has come to so street in Aba and cleaned the street. Some of you and us are aware of one of the things that endeared Barack Obama to his people. The man was the first organizer of street cleaning in his street as a young man. So that endeared him to the community. That itself will make somebody else say, okay, this guy is doing this. What about me? So such organization should also devote itself. So if you are involved in anything like an NGO, it should be known that you also have serious responsibility to develop protocols we have our traditional fathers. For those of us who may be close to traditional institutions, they have a serious role to play. It's not just to carry beads and bands, rubber bands. In my own kind of place, they will sit in their palaces and dictate, give people fines of goats, gogoro, yam, condiments for them to chop. They must be seen to be fair. They must be seen to be conforming with what some of us are very familiar with. In Proverbs 22:28, that says, you should never remove the ancient landmark. Today, some of our traditional rulers don't care. And you find that's why we have traditional ruler tussles. People go to the Supreme Court to become chief, to become paramount ruler, to become whatever. They have a role to play, because if they do the right thing, the citizens among them will be in a position to eventually appreciate sanity, discipline, protocol, and be people who are going to think of possibly succeeding them to do the right thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to conclude by simply reading the most recent outburst of the former president of this country. He said, development and nation building do not happen by themselves. They are guided by people. We have said that here. Especially thoughtful, insightful, and visionary leaders who are willing to make sacrifices and reach compromises. When people see their leaders making those efforts genuinely and experience improvements in their lives, they are likely to follow. This is his opinion. Over the past 6 years, the leadership of this country at the federal level hardly embarked on nation building. Somebody's opinion. You can have your own. based on the discussion so far and based on your experience. But the key thing that I think is important here is that nation building is just not something that is simply architectural. That is you and me. And there's a process for that. And you and me are involved. How you and me are involved, we have highlighted a bit. The Reverend highlighted a bit earlier in the day, and you know it. We have identified how the school system is necessary for it, how the traditional community is necessary for it, how the political class is necessary for it, how the young ones in their peer groupings is necessary for it, how the family is necessary for it. It's now left for us to remember that the religious organizations are also key players in this process. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us all be involved in nation building. And let it begin with you and me. God bless you.
Hallelujah. Good afternoon, everybody. Are you happy to be here? Oh, you look beautiful even in the cold. I'd like us to reverence the presence of the Lord in this place. If God has been so faithful to you, if He has brought you far, if He has done so much for you this period, please raise your hands, wave it. Don't we serve an awesome God? He does not fail. He comes when we need Him. His time is perfect. I lift you up, Jesus. There is none like you, Jesus. Nobody like you. Nobody like you. Great and mighty one.
Personalize it. You've got times and seasons in your hands. You call for light out of darkness. You call for light out of darkness. You don't need a man. You don't need a man to be the God you are. But you have chosen to call us your own. You are God. You are God all by yourself. You, oh my God. In you, oh my God. I don't know about you. If it's your God, can you call him your God? You, oh my God. I don't have any other God apart from you, oh Lord. You, oh my God. I look unto you alone. You alone, oh God. You, oh my God. Woo! I don't have any other God, yeah. You, oh my God. are the most high. You are my hiding place, my strong tower. Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the anointed one, my great healer. Yeshua, Yeshua the Most High. Evil Eliamo, Evil Eliamo. Can I hear you sing it with all your heart? Evil Eliamo, Evil Eliamo. Give weapon balance. I don't know about you, he's my hiding.
Benjamin DK, PhD, is the founder and project director of the Joshua Leadership Project. He is a consummate leadership development expert, certified management consultant, author, professional banker, and life coach. He is focused on raising transformational leaders who will in turn transform their various spheres of influence. He has patroned thousands of reputable leaders across many nations. Benjamin also spearheads Touch of Joy Initiative, a non-profit establishment that provides free medical care and educational support to indigent citizens in remote villages and city slums in Nigeria and beyond. To deal with the topic, raising godly children in an ungodly world, join me to welcome Dr. Benjamin DK. Benjamin DK.
Wow, it's so good to be here. I'm so excited today to be joining you in this conference, the Transformational Parents and Teachers Conference. I think this is my second time of being in this conference. And I want to thank especially Pastor Ike, DK, for this invitation. And I want to also thank him for this amazing work that he's doing. I think this is a very relevant conversation we're having. Just bringing together the key stakeholders. I call them very critical stakeholders in the process of shaping the destinies of the next generation. I think this is a very vital thing we are doing. And I want to thank all of you for being part of this conference, all those who are attending. Let me also acknowledge all the other resource persons that are part of this conference. Obviously, my brother and friend, Pastor Annie, I want to thank you. And I want to thank somebody I call my younger brother, Pastor Wisdom Osiri, and obviously Dr. Emmanuel Abraham. I want to thank all of you and for all the big words that have come and the ones that are yet to come. So I have a very simple assignment today, and that is to share some thoughts. I mean, for me, it's just to start this conversation. We can continue it after now. And the thought is around how do we raise godly children in an ungodly world? How do you raise godly seeds at this time? And in order to delve into this, I want to just give you like a framework how we are going to get around this. So I'm going to be covering 4 main sections. I will talk to you about the context, the environment where we are in, how things seem to be shaping up. I will, give you some insight about that. And then we will look at how we have been responding. I will share with you what I call how not to treat an enemy, right? I will show you the bad response to the things we're finding in our environment today. And the fourth thing I'm going to be talking about will be parental leadership, i.e., so how do we then appropriately respond to what we find in our society today? And the final thing I will talk about will be about male leadership, and especially what I call the rise of the 5-star man. I believe this is what should happen in every home if we are to properly secure the destinies and lives of the next generation. Okay. And so to just set the ball rolling, I want to say that even the blind can smell and feel and sense that our world has gone out of whack, as it were. Things are not the way they should be. Our world has become a place where black has become white and white has become black, right? It is obvious. We see it everywhere. It's almost as if there's a premium price paid if we behave more like Sodom and Gomorrah. That's how the environment, it is that bad, right? I was just going through something the other day, and we hear all manner of things. A young lady, posted something and, was sharing with friends that she has happily married her mother, right? Essentially, the mother raised her without a father figure. She loves the mother. She doesn't want to part with the mother, and therefore she decided to marry the mother. This is not an isolated case. We've had all kinds of things happening everywhere. So you were a little bit disturbed about lesbianism and homosexuality, about Steve marrying another man and calling the man Eve, right? And about a woman marrying another woman. You were disturbed by that. But we are having mother marrying daughter, daughter marrying father, and there was a case in an African country, I won't name, where a father married someone, a man married married a woman, and then was having a secret affair with the mother, and after a few years, he decided to formalize the relationship and therefore married both mother and daughter. I mean, there are crazy things all over the place. I wrote somewhere that in our time, nudity, nakedness has become a new form of dressing. Yeah, that is what we find in our environments. We are seeing babies raising other babies, as it were. And I'll just show you a few very disturbing statistics, right? These statistics are well proven, outcomes of various studies that have been conducted by very responsible people and institutions. So we hear that 50% of young adults, 50%, who are on the internet or have access to social media, they are exposed to alcohol content and indulge in alcoholism as a result of this exposure before they turn 18. And so from what they see, they turn into something else even before they get into serious adulthood. Yeah, so those are the kind of things we are hearing in our environment today. 75% of teenagers between 13 and 17, they claim that they use drugs based on the motivation they got from drug-related content on the internet. Yeah? And 5 out of 10, obviously suicide has become very normal for young people. I mean, you hear the other person has committed suicide. A child of 13 commits suicide. A child of 12, a child of 17 commits suicide. We hear that 5 out of 10 of such suicide attempts among teenagers, they are related to cyberbullying, the things that happen in the world of the internet. That's what causes some of those things, right? And we hear that, more than 80% of people that were surveyed in a particular report, they claim that their peers have seen pornographic content, sex-related content on the net, and have been driven, 80% of them have been driven to practicing the things they see on the internet by way of pornography. Obviously, these are very troubling, very troubling. I mean, I don't want to talk about rape, which has become very commonplace. All kinds of things are happening in that space. We are seeing fathers who are raping their own daughters. And I mean, all those things are happening. So we are like a generation walking with our heads when it comes to morality, right? And this is quite troubling at this time. Now, what has been our typical response to this sort of events that are happening around us? The kind of, breach in the moral compass of society that we are finding. How have we been responding? How have parents been responding? I think that's a critical question. With all the things we are seeing, how are we engaging in our parenting activities? Now, I want to read a very interesting story from the Bible. And I will tell that story in an inverted order. It is not your typical way of relating to that story. I will retell that story in a different light. And let's see what we can glean regarding how not to respond to this sort of events that we are seeing all around us. And it's the story of Samson. I call it the parable of Samson. So let me read you this very interesting portion from Judges 16, verses 25 to 26, and then I'll jump to 29 to 30. Just 4 verses I'm going to read, and I'll retell you this story. And it says, and when their hearts were merry, they said, call for Samson, that he may make sport for us, entertainment. So they called blind Samson out of the prison, and he made sport for them. They made him stand between the pillars, i.e. the pillars of the big auditorium where they were holding this entertainment, this big event. Right. And Samson said to the lad who held him by the hand. So a lad was holding Samson. He said to the boy, allow me to feel the pillars upon which the house rests, that I may lean against them. And Samson laid hold of the 2 middle pillars by which the house was borne up, one with his right hand and the other with his left. And Samson cried, let me die with the Philistines. And he bowed himself mightily, and the house fell upon the princes and upon all the people that were in it. Now listen to this. So the dead whom he slew at his death were more than they whom he slew in his life. I'm going to retell you this story and put it upside down. We've always seen the Philistines as the enemies of Samson and of the Israelites. But let's flip this and look at it from the point of view of the Philistines, right? And look at it from the point of view that Samson was their enemy, was a threat to the Philistines. Okay, so listen to this. Now, if you remember all of the story of Samson, his big strength and the kind of battles he fought, and how many people he was able to destroy, you will remember that a typical Philistine soldier, when he hears about Samson, it is with a sense of dread that he responds. The Philistines dreaded Samson. They were afraid of him. I need us to have that at the back of our mind. So the standard way they responded to a Samson was that they were scared of him, they were cautious, they were very careful about dealing with Samson. Now this continued until, you know the story, how they used Delilah to trap him and all of that, and they chained him. They took out his eyes and they chained him. In other words, technically they demobilized him. And so when they demobilized him, gradually their fear of him began to leave them. Yeah? So keep that in mind. That dread for this enemy started going because they had brought him home to their land. In other words, they had sort of domesticated this enemy. Samson was a dangerous man, remember, but because they had conquered him in quote in war, brought him home, he was in their home. What that meant was they had domesticated him, and gradually they mastered him, and they started letting their guards down. They started feeling Samson wouldn't hurt anymore. I hope you are following this. He wasn't hurting anymore. But guess what? The more their dread of him was waning or draining, the more his hair, that stingy hair of power and danger, the more that hair was growing. Take note of that. They were getting less and less afraid of him, but he was getting more and more dangerous. On the reverse. Take note of that. But then remember, the danger was still in him. Even though they appeared to have domesticated him, the danger was still with him. He had simply transformed from an obvious enemy, an obvious danger, to a chained grinder at the mills. In other words, he was grinding for them. He had now become something of utility to them, a useful enemy. Please follow this. He had gradually started transforming. He was no longer that obvious, dangerous in quote enemy. He was now useful. They could use him to do a few things. He was no longer an obvious enemy. He was now a covert enemy that was not clearly seen. Now, next, we hear that they brought him to entertain. So the second part of the transformation of Samson, the first part was that he was a useful enemy. The second part, he had become an entertainment. They were bringing him out to come and entertain them. He will display, flex his muscles, do a few things, and then everybody roars and shouts and gets excited at the display of strength that he had. So, two transformations of Samson, a useful enemy and then an entertainer. And when I say entertainer, does it not occur to you that there are things that we used to dread as a people? We wouldn't want to touch them because there was danger in them. It was so obvious. And then these things have been repackaged by society, repackaged by the enemy, and brought back to us, and we bought them because they appear useful and some of them appear entertaining. And so gradually, it didn't matter where some of the people in Hollywood, in Nollywood, where they are drawing from, the spirit behind them, because they are entertaining us, we don't care about where they are drawing from or what they are saying or what spirit they are releasing. So we enjoy Beyonce, yeah? We enjoy Lady Gaga, yeah? We enjoy the whole horde, the armies from hell. You may not like me for this, but I must say this to you. We are beginning to enjoy them. They carry the sting of death inside them, but they're entertaining us. And we are having all those amorous steps in dancing, and we look at them, they entertain us, and we are feeling comfortable with those. But their sting of death hasn't left them. And so what we used to dread, what we used to handle at arm's length, we brought home to ourselves. And so social media is there. It's become useful. After all, we use it to, do some of our businesses and so many other things, pass around information. But can I tell you also, it is eating our souls up. The contents are horrible. Pornography has been transformed. The days of blue film are gone. You don't do blue films any longer, right? Blue films, we remember in those days, it needs to be in one big cassette, and you need to go and play somewhere and be in a dark place and start hiding it from people. But today, you can, in the comfort and the simplicity and ease of your phone, you can be looking at that while your spouse is sitting by the side. Am I talking to anybody? And these things are looking useful and entertaining, but what is it? They are exposing our souls to danger. They are killing us by installments. That's what I'm seeing. Is a useful enemy, is an entertaining enemy, and we find it all over the place. Next, we are not only exposing ourselves to all these things and exposing our souls because they are useful and because they are entertaining, but we are finding something. We're also exposing our kids to them. Do you see something? The day they captured Samson, they sent their best men, the most powerful in the army, because of their dread. Those were the people that were sent. When Delilah will shout, Samson, Samson, your enemies are against you. You know who they sent? They sent their best men. They sent the crack team to go after. But because they thought they had domesticated Samson, friends, watch this very closely. The day we find Samson in that massive hall, being called to entertain the audience, who is holding Samson by the hand? It was a lad. It was a lad. It was a kid. It was a little boy. And so the things we dreaded before, we have not only accepted today, we've also exposed our children to them. And our children are watching the things we are watching. They are watching all the junk from Nollywood to Bollywood to Hollywood. They are watching them. They are watching the well-crafted witchcrafting that is done through, all of a number of the kids programs, some of the cartoons that are done. I sat down one day watching my daughter, put her face on the TV and is getting excited and is smiling. And I looked at the TV. What was it? It was a woman that was half human, half fish. We used to call it mame water in those days. That's what we called it in my time. And it was something to dread. It wasn't something to expose myself to. And I said to her, what are you watching? What is that thing called? She said, that's a mermaid, Daddy. That's a mermaid. And she said it so nicely. It sounded so funky. It sounded so sexy, like we say today. And she said, it's a mermaid. I said, do you know what it is? She didn't know. And they are teaching your children witchcraft. And they are I'm telling you, there are sessions, some of those series, they teach them witchcraft using all the cartoons. And they teach all those things. And the children are seeing this. And they are seeing how you can chant something and something will lift into the air. And so when they are offered to come and practice that, they will not have any defenses because it's a mind control system. That's what is going on. Right? And they're already used to it. They already are accustomed to that. Where did they watch it? They watched it at home, not in an enemy camp. It was at home they watched it, and the parents were there. So it's acceptable. That's the message we have sent to them. And so it was a lad that was leading Samson. This dangerous, deadly Samson. It was now a lad that was leading the enemy by the hand. So the things we used to dread, we are now letting our children get exposed to them. All the corruption and show of shame that we find all around us. And we do nothing because we too enjoy them. They are useful and they're entertaining. Don't forget that. So make no mistake. The purpose of the enemy, the purpose of Samson is one. It is to lay hold on the central pillars that hold your life, that hold your family, that hold your marriage, that hold your children together. Samson, in this instance, the enemy said on that day, lead me to the central pillars that hold this house. That's how it all goes. That is the purpose of the enemy. All of the evil you are seeing around us, the purpose is to bring down your life, bring down your future, bring down the future of your children. So at the height of that entertainment, we see Samson gradually transforming back again from the useful entertainer to what it really was, what he really was, an enemy of destiny, an enemy out to destroy. That's how he transformed. Yet, an unsuspecting and an insensitive people, we don't know it. We don't know the enemy is coming gradually with all these things and laying hold and taking over our souls and the souls of our children. We don't know it. The hair has now fully grown back. Don't forget. And he was set to release that sting of wholesale death. That was he was about to launch. And so he now turns to the lad and says, lead me to the central pillars. And the lad had always been used to the entertainment, didn't know what we know. You know, in your generation, you saw this thing as sinful at one point, but they never had that frame of reference. They grew up seeing these things as normal. All right? We call them digital natives. Our children have been born with iPhones and with smartphones, with Facebook and with Instagram fully on ground. So all they know is about the entertaining enemy, about the useful enemy. They didn't know the story of Samson, how he took the jawbone of an ass and slaughtered hundreds of people, how he set foxes on fire on their tails and moved into the camp of the enemy, how he killed so many of their people. The lad didn't have that frame of reference, and an unsuspecting lad thought it was still entertainment and led Samson, obliged Samson, led him to the chambers of his future, of his destiny. And what do we find? The whole house came crashing down. And the last verse of that scripture is what I want to call your attention to. It said the number of people Samson killed at his death, when he was weak, when he was domesticated, when he appeared harmless, it was more. Can I announce something to you? A covert enemy, an enemy that is not too apparent, is more lethal than the enemy that you can see very obviously. If a mame water dresses like mame water and comes here, we will stand and resist it. But if it comes through a song to release a sting on you, you won't know. You'll be dancing until it pierces your soul. Let's be careful about the friendly enemy. And it's all over us, all around us. This is the sad reality, that what we used to dread, we now play with it. What we used to dread, our children are now allowed to handle them. Just last week, the report was all over all the major news networks. A 21-year-old American lady, Shamaya Lane, I'm sure you heard about it, was having a work-related Zoom meeting. She was having a Zoom meeting. Her colleagues were seeing her in the Zoom meeting. And the next thing they heard was the blast, the deafening sound of a gunshot. And they saw their colleague in the Zoom meeting drop dead. It was her toddler, her little child, that had seen an unsecured but loaded gun in the house and brought it He remembered what he used to see on television. He remembered, because you taught a toddler how to shoot, not the mother, not the father. It was taught by an entertaining enemy. He remembered the child, a toddler could know where the trigger is, and he aimed it right at the head of the mother. Paramedics came and tried their best, but the shot was in the head, and the mother died. Why? Because we exposed an entertaining enemy to a kid, and the kid brought down the house. My friends, what's the moral of all this? I want to challenge us. Let's not grow careless and callous about the enemy whose hair of strength we once shaved. The enemy that we once defeated. Let's not allow this enemy to grow right back and destroy us. However colorful, I need you to know, however colorful, mark my word, however colorful and sleek a snake may look, its sting remains inside it. Don't you ever forget that. Don't let the enemy become your entertainment. That's my point, my friend. Chop off the head of the enemy like David did to Goliath. You see, this is the mistake that the Philistines made. They captured Samson and domesticated him. That was the problem. What do you do to an enemy that won't shoot them? Kill it. If they had killed Samson the day they caught him, this would not have happened. Stop coddling the enemy. Stop exposing your children to the enemy. Let me move to my third point. So what should then be our response? This is how not to respond. So how should we respond? I want to make a case today for parental leadership. That's what we are called to do. We are called to show leadership. We shouldn't let leadership of our children and of our family rest with society around us. It is our call. And I want to call for fathers to return to our homes. And that's actually where I'm going to. I want to call for fathers to return. I want to call for fathers to take back their homes. We need to do that. Because you have no success until your seed is. Yeah. And we are having a blight on society today because of absentee fathers. I must tell you, there's the dearth of male leadership in homes today. I can tell you this for free. It doesn't matter how stubborn and aggressive my son gets at home. He can only do it when I'm not around. Once I step into the house, the atmosphere changes. That's male leadership. There's an atmosphere the man carries. But let me tell you the problem. And this is what I talk about all of the time. And this is the challenge I find. It is a challenge of the death of male leadership. But more importantly, something is against the male species. I'll tell you. You know, when I was growing up, I had a sister. I still have. It was my sister my mother will call and say to her, you don't sit that way. A girl does not sit that way. This is how a girl sits. It is my sister that my mother will call and say, come into the kitchen and learn how to cook so that you know how to cook for your husband. It was my sister that was taught how to comport herself and have decorum and all of that. I found something. Nobody ever called me to tell me anything. Nobody taught me how to marry a wife. Nobody. And so this is what is happening. That the male child grows and there's no grooming for him. The girl is groomed. The male child is not groomed. And so he develops a body and gets to a point where we say, it is the age of marriage. And then the male child goes and marries. But what's the problem? It is a child in an adult body. He may be 30, but in his mind is unformed. He doesn't know how to handle a home. And we get a prepared lady and give to an unprepared man. That's part of our problem. And therefore, I am calling for a particular attention to be given again to the male child. And that is how we can raise strong leaders in the home. Because if you can't lead you can't lead anyone. You can't lead your home. And so the point I want to make here is to talk to you about what I call the 5-star man. What kind of man? And in fact, you could also use that for a mother who are 5-star parents. What do? In order to handle our kids and position them appropriately in an ungodly world. These are a few things I think every father, every mother should do. Okay, so let's start it this way. Don't forget, a father is not only an authority figure in the home, but the single most important factor in the home. I need to establish that, right? And so when we talk about the rise of the 5-star man, if the father takes his place in a home and knows how to handle the home appropriately, every other thing falls into place. So there are about 5 key factors in raising a godly seed that I want to quickly talk about. And I'm not going to talk about the obvious ones about, giving them proper training, godly training, praying over them, and so on and so forth. We'll take those ones for granted. You have to do that. Right. But I will take a framework. There will be about 5 A's I'm going to highlight to you. Yeah? So let's start with the first one. The first one is what I call availability. You need to be available. If you must raise a godly seed, be available. Men are typically overweighted and overwhelmed with so many things. So much to live with, trying to fend for the home and so on and so forth. And so often that affects the availability for the children. And I need to show you something. But in the midst of all of those things, you need to make space for what you will consider the most important thing in your life. If I were to ask you, what is the most important thing to you? You will not typically say my business and so on, even if it is, right? You say my family. That's what people typically say, right? But if it is your family then, that is the most important thing to you, you need to make time for what you think is priority for you. Make time for your family. I think in a sense the unspoken cry of most children, and I wrote it somewhere, maybe, Dad, I need a daddy. Because sometimes we are just not available for them. And so there's a yearning in the heart of the child for a father's love, but it is not there. For a father's presence, but it is not there. Yeah? And I will say to you that the cure for busyness is prioritization. The reason why you don't give time to your home is because you've not made it your priority. The day you understand that it is critical for your success, your ongoing success, right? You will give time to your home. You can't put your career, your business, even ministry above your family. It does not work. Take note of this. If you are not available to them, someone else will be available for them, and you may not like the outcome. Take note of that. You know, I've had an incident in my life where my daughter shared some things with someone, and the person approached me and said, I think you need to spend a bit more time with your daughter. I thought I had a great relationship with her. But I went to her and I said, you shared so and so thing with this auntie? And she said, yes. I said, why didn't you tell me? She said, Daddy, you are busy. I froze that day. Say you are busy. I said, what do you find me busy doing? He said, you're either on your laptop, or you are this, or you are reading, or you are that. Now, can I tell you something? If you don't make space for them, that information that you would have given them, that explanation you would have given them, someone else will give it to them. And it may not be exactly what you would have told them. And that is why you need to, as a man, as a mother, don't be distant from them. Don't alienate them. Be available. Be available to answer their questions. Be available to engage with them. All right? That is where it starts. Because if they are showing all those things, we've taken time to show all of the things happening around the environment. If you don't bring context to those things for them to understand, it is not just like saying, you don't dress that way, you don't do this, you don't. No, it's an engagement, because each generation is not our old generation where you were told to sit down, you sit down. If you ask a child today to sit down, they will ask you why. And you need to tell them why. Okay? So, number one, be available to them. Number two is what I call acceptance and affirmation. Acceptance and affirmation. You know, as parents, we need to be an empowering and inspiring force at home. Mark my word. I say we need to be an empowering and an inspiring force at home, not just authority figures. Our kids often know us as the chairman of the census board, right? There's a problem with that. If they associate you only with somebody who censors them, who tells them what is wrong, who tells them what they should do and what they should not do, it begins to distance you from them, especially as they begin to grow up a bit more.
Take our time to go through it. It will surely bless your life. We don't want to rush it so that you don't miss out on anything that Dr. Benjamin Digger have shared. And we have the last speaker. And looking at our time, we started very, very late. So we need to give him, the time to take us on the last session of these awesome moments that we've been sharing together for a while now. I want to thank you for your patience up to this time. The next session is going to bless your life. So let's receive VOG as the usher in the next speaker.
Hallelujah. Good evening, everyone. God says in the last days, I'll pour out my spirit upon all flesh. I don't know if there's anybody here who is believing God for an overflow, for the outpouring of the Spirit. His Spirit to enable us be good parents. That Spirit is even going to be released here right now. Hallelujah. Open up. Let it flow now. Open up. Let the river flow now. word shoots, dimensions found only in Jesus Christ the Son. Channels of my spirit, open up. I am with the Father, open up. No boundaries, no limit, open up. Let them call unto them, open up. Hey. Channels of my spirit, open up. I am with the Father, open up. No boundaries, no limit, open up. Let them call unto thee, open up. Open up. Let the river flow now. Out of the mundane to where I'm ordained for things that were made from things unseen. There are realms of glory that my words should see, dimensions found only in Jesus Christ the Son. Channels of my spirit, open up. I am with the Father, open up now. No boundaries, no limit, open up. Yeah, let him call unto thee, open up. Somebody say with me, say, channels of my spirit, open up now. I am with the Father, open up. Sing, no boundaries, no limit, open up. Let him call unto thee, open up. Lift up your voice and say, channels of my spirit, open up. I am with the Father, open up now. No boundaries, no limit, open up. Yeah, let him call unto thee, open up. One more time, lift your voice and say, channels of my spirit, open up now. I am with the Father, open up. Yeah, no boundaries, no limit, open up. Yeah, let him call unto thee, open up. Somebody sing, let the river flow. Rivers of living water, let it flow. Out of my belly shall flow rivers of living water. Out of my belly shall flow nations. Somebody lift a voice with me and say, channels of my spirit, open up. I am with the Father, open up. Yeah, no boundaries, no limit, open up. Yeah, let them call unto thee, open up. Somebody lift the voice and say, channels of my spirit, open up now, because I am with the Father, open up. Say, no boundaries, no limit, open up. Yeah, let him call unto thee, open up. Yeah, let the river flow. Let the river flow. Say, let the river flow. Let the river flow. Somebody lift your voice and sing with me. Let the river flow. Rivers of living waters, new dimension, let the river flow. Nations are inside of me, destinies are inside of me. Let the river flow. Yeah, let the river flow. Let the river flow. let it flow now.
Let the river flow.
Yeah, and Fata, let it break forth on every side. Yeah, let the river flow.
Let the river flow.
Someone lift your voice. Let the river flow.
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 Destinies are inside of me. Nations are inside of me. I bet godly children and I raise godly children. I am raising a generation that will serve the Lord. Let the river flow. 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 Because channels of my spirit open up. Because I am with the Father. Open up now, now. No boundaries, no limit. Yeah. Let deep call unto deep. Out of the mundane to where I'm ordained for things that were made from things unseen. There are realms of glory that my word should see, dimensions found only in Jesus Christ the Son. Out of the mundane to where I'm ordained for things that were made from things unseen. There are realms of glory that my word should see, dimensions found only in Jesus Christ the Son. Channels of my spirit open up.
Annie Ikebudu is a trained lawyer, visionary leader, premier life coach and counseling professional with core competences in family life, business and leadership development. He is the lead facilitator at Mind Part Leadership Academy, a breeding ground for emerging leaders and trailblazers in various industries and institutions. He is also the founder and mastermind of the Caruso brand, an ingenious and indigenous media company. Annie Ikebudu currently serves as the resident pastor over House on the Rock, Aba, Abe State. He is married to Pastor Adeze Ikebudu. Ladies and gentlemen, join me
to speak on the topic, Raising Nation Builders Through Transformational Leadership.
Come on, celebrate yourselves. Come on, come on. You can do much better than you're doing right now. Praise God. All right, please sit down. And I promise you to be so painless, okay? You're going to be quick and painless, yeah? And I want to do a shout out, first of all, to all the speakers who have spoken before me. My friend in Port Harcourt, Wisdom Osiri, my brother, Dr. Benjamin Dike, and our Papa, Dr. Emmanuel Abraham. They have done justice. As a matter of fact, I don't even know what to say again. And also, I also want to take our time to do a big shout out to the convener of the program, Ikechugu Dike, and the Edubase Foundation. God bless you for what you do. God bless you for what you are trying to achieve. And God bless you. cannot give what you don't have. You cannot give what you don't have. You cannot raise a transformational leader unless you are a transformational leader. Because people produce after their kind. People produce after their kind. If you want to know the quality of your leadership, look at the quality of the people that you are producing. Leaders produce leaders. Followers produce followers. Transformational leaders produce transformational leaders. A lion cannot give birth to a goat. So what you produce is indicative of who you are. So today, quickly, I want to talk about qualities of a transformational leader. Qualities that you must imbibe if you want to be a transformational leader. And also, the qualities you must look out for people that you are leading if you intend to select them from the bunch and train them specially to become transformational leaders. Is he okay? Is he okay? I don't like the way I'm sounding. Is he okay? All right. So, first of all, I'm sure most of us here understand the meaning of the concept leadership, right? Or should I define it? Should I define it? Should I define it? Let me see your hand. Raise your hand. All right, cool. Okay. So I should define it, right? What? All right, sir. So from my perspective, I define leadership. Are you writing it down? As the willingness and the capacity to rally people and resources together for a common purpose. The willingness and the capacity to rally, to organize people and resources together for a predetermined purpose. That's part A. Part B says, and the character that inspires followership. The character that inspires followership. First part, the willingness and the capacity to rally people together for a predetermined objective. And the character that inspires followership. All right, let's break it down. The willingness. So, for you to be a leader, you must be willing. You must be willing. You must say willing. Say willing. You must be willing. Because for me, leadership is simply the decision to make a difference with others. Simply the decision to make a difference with others. Not by yourself. Not to make a difference by yourself, but to make a difference with others. So, you must be willing to make a difference. You must be willing to make a difference. Second part is what? Capacity. Capacity. You must have the relevant competences, relevant knowledge to be able to gather people together to make a difference. Capacity. You must have the capacity. It is your competences, as it were, that qualifies you to lead people. People don't follow weak people. They follow strong people. So you must have capacity. Capacity. Willingness, what? And what? Capacity to do what? To rally people together. Say, rally people together. Rally people together. So you must understand that you are not going to do what you want to do by yourself. Anything you got to do by yourself is not great. If what you want to achieve is great, you will need what? People. So if you need people, you have to know how to work with people. How to inspire people. How to make them feel confident. How to... Are you still here?
how to make them want to join forces with you. So you must know how to rally people and to keep people. So it is one thing to rally people together and another thing to keep them together. That's where the character comes in. I see here. That's where the character comes in, because anybody can speak. Anybody can cast vision. Anybody can paint a picture of a better tomorrow. But once you get closer to the person, will you still want to be with the person? That's where the character comes in. All right, so the purpose of leadership is actually to bring the best out of people. So, a transformational leader is someone who knows how to bring out the best in people, how to transform them, how to move them from point A to point B. Are you still here? Are you still here? So, for you to be a transformational leader, there are some qualities that you must have. And I said also, if you are choosing also people from your team that you want to mentor directly, there must be some qualities that they must have. If you understand agriculture, that's what is called, in breeding, that's what is called parent stock. Parent stock. So, for instance, let us go to fisheries. When you hatch your eggs, you have fingerlings, all right? When the fingerlings come, when they hatch, there are some that are standard, they stand out. They are bigger, they are stronger, they are more virile than the others. So they pick them out and they call them what? Parent stock. The rest they can sell. Are you still here? The rest they can do what? Sell. Because they know that from that parent stock, those stock will produce after their kind. So their offsprings will always be what? Good. Are you still here? Likewise in leadership. Everybody that you are leading does not deserve your personal attention. If you want to be effective. If you want numbers, you're not a leader. You're a follower. But leaders don't raise everybody. They impact people, but they raise a couple of people that they know that if I get it well with these people, they can do the work. Are you still here? So, there are qualities you must look at for. And also, you as a leader, there are qualities you must imbibe. Number one quality is resourcefulness. 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 What does it mean? It means the ability and the capacity to solve problems fast and creatively. The ability to solve problems in unusual manners, quick and in creative ways. The ability to solve problems. Let me go back a step further and say this, that leadership is about problem solving. The purpose of leadership is problem solving. There's a problem that you saw that inspired leadership. Leadership is always inspired by the need to solve a problem. We don't just get into leadership for the fun of being in leadership. Leadership is inspired and instituted and ordained to solve a problem. So if there's no problem that your leadership is trying to solve, it is ineffective leadership. There must be something you have noticed. There must be a gap, a lacuna you have noticed in the society or in your sphere. Maybe in the educational sector, there's something you have noticed that is not right. There's a problem you have noticed there that is now inspiring you to make a difference, to solve the problem. Are you still here? So, you cannot be a leader unless you are resourceful. Resourcefulness. So oftentimes when you are leading people, give them, allow them to have challenges and watch how they will solve those problems. Watch how they will apply their wisdom, their knowledge, their skills towards solving that problem. That is why as teachers, you know, that's why you give students assignments, right? Come on, are you still here, right? You give them what? Assignments, and you allow them to do the assignments by themselves. Sometimes they may be coached by their parents, starting point, but oftentimes you want to know how resourceful they are. How do they solve problems? Likewise, you as a leader, do you solve problems or do you pass it on? Do you pass the problem on or do you solve it? Do you push the envelope to another person or do you solve it? Oftentimes, I sit in my office and people bring issues for me, challenges. And they brought it because in their mind, they cannot solve it. But by the time they sit down and I ask them a few questions, and they will find out and discover that they have solved the problem that they brought to me in the first instance. Is it okay? So, as a leader that wants to raise leaders, you must teach them to imbibe resourcefulness. You don't teach them what to do, you allow them to find out what to do. Because if you always tell them what to do, then there's no need for them to use their brain. Is it okay? Why are you looking at me funny? Am I dressed funny? So, one of the things you must do with the people that you are leading is that you must allow them to solve problems, or you can also give them challenges. Say, figure it out and don't call me. Because oftentimes we grow when we solve problems. Nothing grows you like problems. Don't call me. Figure it out. Because people will not use their brain unless they are forced to use their brain. So what problems do you solve for your organization? When challenges arise, what is your default setting? Do you call Oga CEO? No. What do you do? Do you solve it? Because when you bring issues to me, first I ask you, what did you do about it? What have you done about it? Oh, Pastor, the jet spoiled, so what have you done about it? What have you done about it? You must be resourceful. Because these days, we have leadership everywhere that is so useless. Leadership that is not solving any problem for anybody. That's why Nigeria is the way we are. We don't have resourceful leaders. I went to Ebonyi State the other day, and I cried for most of the states in the southeast. And if you see what that man is doing, I traveled in the hinterlands of Ebonyi State for 1 hour 30 minutes on a concrete cement technology road. You know what they call cement technology? The one that they do a few meters here and say they've done. For 1 hour 30 minutes, cement technology road that was leading to one of the best colleges of medicine in Black Africa, in the Ebonyi State. When you get there, you think you're abroad. Meanwhile, Ebonyi State does not receive more revenue from the other southeastern states. Just because someone that is resourceful, that is finding creative ways to solve problems. Some years ago, Akwa Ibom State and Ebonyi State supplied the southeast with house helps. Not so again today. So, if you say you are a transformational leader, ask yourself, am I resourceful? Am I resourceful? What problems am I solving? Am I resourceful? In my classroom, in that school, in that office, in that church, in my department, what problems am I solving? And how do I solve problems? Do I solve One of my mentors when it comes to hiring is, is abroad. Their method of hiring, before he hires you into a leadership position or into his company, if he's serious duties, he will do interview for you, written, oral, but most importantly, character text. So you may be waiting down in the office waiting for him to come out, and they will send a lady or a small boy that will walk past you and drop a piece of paper. And they are watching you with the camera to see whether you will pick it up. They are watching to see what are you going to do about it. It's not your job. They've not even employed you yet, but a resourceful person will pick it up and trash it. Number one, resourcefulness. Number two, are you a hireling or are you a leader? Are you a paid worker or are you a leader? Are you a paid worker or are you a leader? Are you a paid worker or are you a leader? Because most people are just paid workers. That's all they do. They're just paid. I do what I do because I'm paid. I'm a paid worker. That's what I do. But are you a leader or are you a paid worker? Transformational leaders are leaders. They're not hirelings. They're not paid workers. They're not doing it for what they're being paid. They are leaders. They are problem solvers. They are resourceful. What they do is not determined by how much you pay them. John's Gospel chapter 10 verses 11 to 14. I'm a preacher, so let me go to the Bible. What does it say? He said, John's Gospel chapter 10 from verse 11 to 14. What does it say? He says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. But he that is an hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf what? Coming, and leaveth the sheep, and fleeth, and the wolf catcheth them, and scattereth what? The sheep. The hireling fleeth, because he's an hireling, and careth not for the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and know my sheep, and I'm known of mine. All right, let us read it in modern day English, Message Bible, so you can understand it. Message Bible from verse 11. Quickly, please. Quickly, who's there? Message Bible. All right, what does it say? It says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd puts the sheep before himself. So a leader puts the work before himself. That's what a leader is. When you're a leader in the classroom, you put the students before you. If you're a leader in government, you put the citizens before you. That's the principle. When you put them before you, you will not steal all the money and put it in your pocket. If you're a leader where you're working, you put the interest of the company before your interest. Oh, I'm sure I'm sounding funny now. Pastor, what are you saying? I'm not the owner of the company. Why should I put the interest of the company before my interest? You are a hireling. Jesus said, if you have not been faithful in that which belongs to another, who will give you that which belongs to you? So he puts the sheep before himself. Today in Nigeria, we'll see leaders, in quotes, who pay themselves first before they pay their workers. And if there's not enough money, the workers will go empty. All these things we are hearing about, cutting down salaries, owing wages, no governor has owed himself. No governor has owed himself. Every month they collect their security vote. But they tell you that that's not, for the pensioners, no money to pay your pensions. Because they have not learned to put the the meeting and we're sharing food, and I'm watching whether the so-called leaders will take food before the workers. If you take before the workers, I'll mark you. I said, this guy is not transformational. You must put your people before you. They should take first. The pastor, what if he doesn't remain? Then they ate. You go hungry. Like a father would choose to go hungry instead of his children going hungry. You feed your children first. It's natural. So when we feed ourselves, it's unnatural. A father and a mother feeds the children first. That's the natural progression of things. But we have learned something that's unnatural. We take care of ourselves first. He puts the sheep before himself. He sacrifices himself if necessary. How many of you can sacrifice yourself for the interest of where you are working? How many of you can sacrifice for the interest of the children you are teaching? Next verse, quickly. You're quiet. A hired man is not a real shepherd. Once you are working based on what you are paid, you are not a real shepherd. The sheep mean nothing to him. The reason why you can jump from office to office, company to company, is because the sheep mean nothing to you. Oh, Abba is not good, I'm relocating. The sheep mean nothing to you. It means nothing to you. It means nothing to you. For me as a leader, one of my greatest challenges, hear this. Any leader that tells you that he has never had the thought of giving up is a liar. Every real leader have had the thoughts of giving up. Not once, not twice, severally. But oftentimes, what does not allow the leader to give up is the connectivity the leader has with the flock. How many of you are teachers? If you're a teacher, let me see your hand. How many times did you get angry and say, I am done with this school? But you remember the children. You remember the children. Why can't you leave that school? You don't understand. Some children are connected to me, like mothers. Some wives who are battered. Why are you still in that marriage? I'm still there for my children. But I'll just say, a hired man is not a real shepherd. The sheep mean nothing to him. He sees a wolf come and he bails. Like the president of Afghanistan, some hours before Kabul fell, the man he had disappeared. He didn't even tell anybody. The guy entered a private jet, flew to Dubai. The next thing they saw, he was making announcements from Dubai. President of a country. And now he's saying that I am not afraid to die, but I'm afraid to die a wrongful death. He fled. He fled. So if the president runs away, because I was watching CNN the other day, and they were saying it was amazing how the whole military collapsed. No, he's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. If the commander-in-chief disappears, what do you want the Korofo soldier to do? That's why all of them dropped their guns and ran away. The entire police force, the entire military, dropped all their guns and disappeared, dropped their uniform and disappeared. If you are not ready to sacrifice for the flock, for the dream, for the vision, don't call yourself a leader. Verse 13, quickly. The higher only in it for the money. It's only in it for what? The money. The way you know that you're a leader is, can you do what you're doing? Can you pursue that dream, that vision, without money? Without being paid? Without receiving any gratuity, as it were? Can you do that? Can you keep working in a place even when you know that you can be paid better elsewhere? When people don't work out of purpose, they change location and destination with ease. But once you connect to your purpose, it's difficult to change. Companies, difficult to change the dream or the vision. If you heard, I'm still here. Hold quickly. So, as a transformational leader, you must have a legacy mindset. Legacy mindset. Legacy mindset. So you're in that school, okay, so you're in that company. What do you want to achieve there? What legacy do you want to leave behind? So you must have a legacy mindset. Legacy mindset means that you want to leave something beautiful behind. You want to leave something beautiful. You want to do something new, something that will last, something that will outlive you. You think legacy. Transformational leaders, they think legacy. So you have worked somewhere for 5 years, and if you stop working there, what are you going to be remembered for? What? You are serving somewhere. What legacy are you leaving behind? So, legacy-minded leaders, they fight to improve the culture of the organization. They fight to make sure things work well, to improve the culture of the organization. They hate it when things are not working well. When I say culture, can I go deeper? You look hungry. Are you following me? Or shall I prophesy? An organization, a family, a church, a business, a nation is only as strong as the culture that is prevalent in that place. Or the culture, or the normal way of doing things in an organization. But the reason why Nigeria is the way Nigeria is because our culture is ineffective. You see how, for instance, if you move men and women from the UK to Aba and evacuate people from Aba to London, in 5 years, this Aba will look like London, and the London will look like Aba. You don't know that? You don't know that? People will always reduce a place to their culture. So, what's our culture here? In the morning, you come out to brush your teeth on the street. What's the culture here? You take juice or sachet water. What's the culture here? You feel like urinating. What do? What's the culture here? At night, you pack your refuse and dump it on the street or on the drainage. What's the culture here? We drive one way. What's the culture here? We don't paint our houses. What's the culture here? You know now. So if they pack all of us here, as we are now, and move us to London, and move all of them in London to here, very soon, the ones you took from Aba to London will start to cry for visa to come to Aba, because Aba will have started looking like what? London. So when they created states, then Anambra State separated Anambra from Enugu State. Enugu State. And the Anambra civil servants were the higher placed civil servants. So they lived in GRA. So when they were there, before they created the new Enugu State, Enugu GRA used to be lovely. Flowers, everywhere, hedges everywhere, clean place, mango trees everywhere, green lawns. People used to use lawn mowers to mow their garden or their fields. But when they created the state and the senior civil servants moved to Anambra State, the junior ones, people who were clerk, people who were became top civil servants. So they were promoted because they were the highest place in that area. So you move someone now who was a medium level worker, clerk, grade 1 or grade, I don't know whether how they graded, and made him a director. So they moved to GRA immediately. And in 3 years, GRA Enugu looked like a farmland. Where there were flowers, they started to plant cassavas. Cassava there. Maize. No, I'm not kidding you. Poultry started to pop up here and there. A place that when the white men were there, beautiful. When Anambra people, when people higher level civil servants, so I don't want to say Anambra people, I mean higher level civil, who were enlightened, who were better trained, when they lived in there, it was nice, but not as nice as it was when the Oyibo was there. Now, but when the lower ones who had limited exposure at that time came into GRA, they turned GRA into a farmland. So, the beautiful school you have can be destroyed if you don't imbibe the right culture. One of the biggest fights a leader fights is the fight to maintain the culture of his place. One of the most dangerous fights I've ever fought here, and I'm still fighting, is the fight of culture. Because when you come with something new, people will resist it. You push and push, they will start to comply. When you stop pushing, they will go back to normal. We are only as strong as the prevalent culture of organization. Therefore, every transformational leader fights to maintain and to improve the culture of his organization. When I say culture, I don't mean how much you pay for dowry or bride price. No, sir. I mean your core values. Is it excellence? Is it innovation? Is it embracing diversity? Understand? So every organization must have their core values. It is those core values that build the culture of your organization. And it is that culture that determines the strength of your brand. Well, let me take it again. Should I take it again? Every organization is built by its culture. It is your culture. It is your core values that determines your culture, right? Come on, are you still here? Your core values determines your what? Your culture. And it is your culture that determines how strong your brand will be. So as a leader, you must fight to improve the culture of your people. All right, let me start to wind up with this. Every man, every woman, everybody has what is called a dash. Someone say a dash. Someone say a dash. Say a dash. Someone say a dash. So the dash is that what is in between the day you joined and the day you left. The day you joined and the day you left. That is what is in between the dash. So the question is this. How will your dash be? How will your dash be? What determines how it will be is what you do every day. And you must determine from inception that this is the legacy I want to leave. This is the legacy I want to leave. So, one thing you must ask yourself all the time is, what are you going to do with your dash? your footprints in the sands of time of that organization? Is this city going to know that you existed here? Is the school ever going to remember that you walked there, you passed through there? Will your family ever remember that you lived? What are you going to do? Because legacy mindset inspires transformational leadership. Legacy mindset inspires transformational leadership. This is what I want to achieve. I want to achieve this. Therefore, I need to become somebody who can achieve this. I need to partner with people who can help me achieve this. Nothing transforms you like your vision. Any vision that does not affect your conduct is not vision. Any vision that does not transform your conduct is not vision. Your vision is what models you. Your vision determines the books you read, how you dress, who you relate with, how you walk. The one who entered the company as a hireling will work just to get paid. But the one who's entering there to leave a legacy will work differently. Whether the boss is there or not, the person is working. Because there's something he's trying to achieve. Number 3, endurance. I want to share 4 and I go. Endurance. What's the endurance? One attribute you must get, you must develop as a transformational leader is endurance. The Bible tells us in James chapter 1 verse 12, it says, "Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord had promised to them that love him." Blessed is the man that endureth temptation. There's nothing great that you'll ever want to achieve that will not come with challenges. Nothing. If it is easy, it is not great. If it is easy, it is not worth pursuing. You know that if you go to the gym and you use small weight to do workout, small weight, 5 kg, if you like, use it for 100 years, you will not grow muscles. To bulk up, you have to keep bulking up the weight. The greater the challenge, the more the muscles grow. Are you still here? The harder you push, the stronger you become. So, if you give up with ease, you can't achieve anything great. Leaders must have endurance to pay the price until they start to work. You must also have endurance with people. The people that you are leading, you must have endurance. Every mother knows that you must have endurance when it comes to your children. Sometimes you wonder, oh my God, why on earth did I give birth to these children? They keep scattering things everywhere. But do you throw them away? Do you throw them away? You are patient with them. Nothing great works the first time. If you don't want to build anything big, then you don't need endurance. You see, the purpose of leadership, as it were, is to bring what is here to the front. To bring the picture that God has painted in the back of your mind, to bring it to fruition. So, the process of bringing it from here to here takes time. God shows you the end picture. He doesn't show you what you need to go through. Are you still here? You must have endurance, because anytime you start to pursue your dream, you lose friends. People will misunderstand you. They will misread you. But guess what? Because you know what you have seen, because you know where you are going to, you don't care. Keep pushing. You must have endurance. Endurance is the ability to last. The ability to last. Endurance simply means continued existence. Continued existence. Not today, oh, I have this dream. You can have some people together, I have this dream. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. At the first challenge you experience, you say, bros, have fun. I say, I am praying about it. Bros, have fun. We're waiting on God. Sweethearts, you're not waiting on any God. God is waiting on you. Your heart has started to fail. Are you still here? If it is big, your heart will fail. If there's nothing you took away today, take this one away. If the vision is big, your heart will fail. But don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. If what you're about to do will transform lives, the devil will not allow you to happen. You have to push through it. Every breakthrough means that you broke through something. You broke through something. And oftentimes when it comes to leadership, we don't break through by force immediately. It is one knock at a time. One knock at a time. One step at a time. One advert at a time. One leader at a time. One relationship at a time. At a time. At a time. One block. One block. One block. One block. Before you know what's happening, it has happened. One of the mistakes leaders make is that they want to build a two-story building. And the Lord told them they're going to build a two-story building. And so they pursue it. They gather people together. And in the first 5 years, all they were able to do was the foundation. So they start to do arithmetic. So if it took me 5 years to get to the foundation, it took me another 5 years to get to the lintel level. It took me another 5 years to get to the decking. Understand? So by the time they calculate it like that, they say it will take 50 years because of how the first 5 years went. It is a lie. The first 5 years is the hardest 5 years. First 5 years you are digging deep. Once you get to that foundation level, it's easier to take the building higher. So don't give up because you have told yourself, oh, I've been doing this for the past 5 years. What have I got to show for it? No, sir. You just started. You just started. You just started. When I came here, I told God, and I told some of my team members, we're going to grow this church. For the first 1 year, 1,000 members. In 5 years, 5,000 members. They say, yes, we can do that. I say, can we do it? They say, yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. Yeah, we're all pumped up. Yeah. This is 11 years. Where's the 5,000? Are we still doing it? Yes. Are we still believing? Yes. The 5,000 can happen in a month. That's what is called breakthrough. You keep knocking at the wall, knocking at the wall. It looks like it's not moving. It's weakening. Every knock weakens that wall. Every knock weakens that wall. Every knock weakens that wall. And oftentimes we give up before the wall falls down. Because we have not entered into the wall to see that the consistency of the wall has been distorted and weakened. So you now say, oh, it's not working, and you now leave. One careless young man or young woman will just come and knock at the same place 5 more times. Boom! Breakthrough. They call him overnight success. It was your success that the person is enjoying, but you are not patient enough. Patient enough. The grander or the bigger the vision, the greater the price tag. The greater the vision, the greater the price tag. Keke Napep and Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon is not the same price. Did you hear what I said? Keke, Napep, and Benz, G-Wagon. They no be the same price. One room and duplex no be the same rent. The price you pay is determined by what you want to achieve. If you want to achieve massive things, you have to raise leaders. You don't raise followers, you raise leaders. Big visions don't come easy. Some of you that say, oh, I don't know what they're doing in this school. Pastor Ike, and at this end of the month, they have not paid wages. Do you know every month that wages are paid is a miracle in Nigeria? Sometimes I'm in church on Sunday, people are dancing, having fun, oh, lovely service. But I don't enjoy the service the way people enjoy service. I don't. After the preaching and the dancing and the praying, my mind is, are we going to be able to pay wages? Are we going to be able to buy diesel for next Sunday? Oh, Pastor, bring guest artists. Oh, bring guest artists. A lot of people say, I'm enjoying. The pastor is not enjoying the way you're enjoying. You know, after the party comes the price. He has to pay. So that's how leaders think. When you come to school, you are thinking, how are they able to pay this school fees? How are they able to pay these wages? How are we able to maintain the school? How are we able to fuel the car? Understand? Don't be just criticizing. Ask question, how is it? How do we do this? How do they do these things? And move from how do they do these things to how do we do these things. You must move from they to me. Some people come to me and say, Pastor, I want to advise you people, church members. I want to advise you people. If you people would, I say you people, you say you're a member, and we are you people. I say, okay, you are not part of us. You're not a leader. You're a visitor. Because if you're a leader and you're part of us, your language will change. So, leaders, the way you know the people you work with is from what they say. Do they say we? When it is we, the way you criticize changes. When it is we, the way you criticize changes. You know, everybody knows how to pastor the church better than the pastor. Sometimes people come and say, Pastor, let's do this, let's do that, we should have done that. I said, let me tell you how difficult my job is. Your case, I manage your case. And I manage the case of every other person in church. And also manage the case of my family. That's how difficult it is, number one. Two, when we want to share resources to do things, your department is not the only department in the church. Other departments need resources. So we must balance what is not enough to be able to touch the most important aspects. Are you still here? So until you sit on my chair and on my table, you cannot see what I see. You cannot see what I see. You only see the ones you are in charge of. You don't see the ones you are not in charge of. So if you want to be a transformational leader where you are working, you must try to see things through the eyes of leadership. You must try to see things through the eyes of leadership. Not through the eyes of a sheep, but through the eyes of what? Leadership. Leadership is not a position. Leadership is a mindset. It's not a mindset. The difference between a leader and a follower is in their mindset. How do they think? Something happened here during, the last service we had, men's service. I was sitting in front here. But I was in front here, I was hearing the sound of the generator outside. And it wasn't sounding well. also was on the welfare of the church. I was here hearing the sound. I was seeing the sign from the television that something is not right. And there are people at the back, they didn't hear it. It's mindset. By the time we got there, the generator had overheated. Water was everywhere. I was here. But I heard the sound because I have a leadership mindset. I have a sense of responsibility. If it spoils, what will have used to pay wages or do something else, we used to fix the generator. But the one who is a hireling does not care. What he knows, pastor, he has spoiled, and they give you requisition. How the money comes out or not does not concern them. And then they say, he has spoiled things, and we told pastor, I don't know what pastor is doing, because he don't care. You're not seeing what I'm seeing. When we owe people, they don't call you, they call me. So next time you go to that place where you work, approach it like a leader. A leader is an owner. A leader owns it. Others can complain, but a leader doesn't complain. Others can make excuses. A leader doesn't make excuses. A leader does what is needed. He owns it. He has a sense of responsibility. If he's going to work, it's up to me. If he fails, I'll take the blame. That's how a leader thinks. You want to be a transformational leader? That's how you must think. Always ask, how are these things being done? Are you still here? Are you still here? So hear this. Write this one down. Leaders do not serve in the absence of personal challenges. I think I will stay there and I will close there. Leaders don't serve in the absence of personal challenges. Some of you say, oh, Pastor, I better leave that thing. If you know what I'm going through my family self, you won't even bother me. We don't serve in the absence of personal challenges. We serve in spite of our personal challenges. We lead while we bleed. We lead while we bleed. That's why, as a teacher, maybe you're a married woman and your husband insulted you in the morning on your way to church, on your way to school, and you had tears in your eyes, you were crying in your heart, and nobody noticed your tears. But you enter your classroom and the kids are crying. What will you do? Will you say to the kids, please don't cry your own cry, me I am crying my own cry? Will you do that? Some will do that. Hirelings will do that. Am I your mother? I beg, leave me, I get my own problem. But a transformational leader in the form of a teacher will immediately forget about her own cry and attend to the child. The reason why small headache, you call, I won't be in office today, I'm sick, is because you're not the owner. Small rain, I'll be coming late, you're not the owner. You're not owning it. So, don't empower people who make excuses. For me, at any time, I will go for commitment over competence. A committed, faithful person can become competent. The worst mistakes we make in leadership is to empower competent people that have no commitment and loyalty. Don't ever do that. The Bible spoke about servants that were born and raised in the house of Abraham. Raised, trained. Your number one job as a leader is to train leaders. Stop looking for finished products, they will give you headache. Train your people. Train your people. If they are faithful, If they are committed, train them. Finally, if you want to be a transformational leader, you must use what you know. You must use what you know. Some of you know a lot, but you're not using what you know where you are working. You're waiting until you own your own school. Wait until you own your own school or your own business or your own ministry before you start to use what you know. So you are keeping information. Don't worry. If they pay me better, I will do better. You are not qualified for promotion until you become overqualified for the current position. I didn't get it. You didn't get it. I said you are not qualified for promotion until you become overqualified for your current position. Until you give much more than you are being paid, then you are promoted naturally. Use what you know. Use what you know. Anywhere you are, use what you know. For me, if I see my worst enemy, if I have an enemy like that, I don't think I have a worst enemy. But if I ever have a worst enemy and I see my worst enemy going through challenges and I know what will help him, I will give him the help. I will give him the help. Because I've discovered that is the key that unlocks knowledge and information. When you share what you have, many more enter. Are you still here? Dead Sea is dead because nothing lifts it. It's not flowing. There's no currency. But when you give out, there's flow, there's currency. Until you give out, there's no room for another to enter. So as a leader, use what you know to teach other people. Don't hoard information. Don't hoard knowledge. Don't be the only star. Share. Share. They say that leadership is influence. One of the ways to influence people is to teach them, to empower them. Anyone you have empowered, you can influence with ease. So your job is not to keep learning, but your job is to keep giving out what you have learned. Did you hear what I said? Your job is not to what? Keep learning, but to keep giving out what you have learned. And guess what? God expects you to use what He has given you to serve other people. The only way what you know has value is that you have used it to bless other people. Have you ever eaten good food that you enjoyed and you ate a lot of it? I'm closing now. And you ate a lot of it. And for 2 or 3 days, you couldn't pass it out. What happened to you? Eh? Discomfort, right? And if you try to do that, it doesn't come out, what happens? After a while, it will poison your system. The reason why people get bitter where they are working is that they are eating and they're not giving out. One of the easiest ways to get bitter, to get frustrated, is to keep learning and not blessing people. Because you are storing it for your own use. You cannot raise transformational leaders unless you are a transformational leader yourself. And the end game of leadership is to raise leaders. Who are leaders? Problem solvers. To raise leaders who are able to solve problems. And how do you do that? You do that by creating an opportunity and a platform where people can become the best they can be. Through teaching, through training, through modeling. Stop telling people to do what you're not doing. Is it okay? Finally, let me share with you what the Holy Spirit told me about this conference. He said, if everyone who attends this conference commitment to excellence, then we succeeded. We make a commitment to excellence, then we succeeded. A commitment to excellence. Excellence is not an event, it's a way of life. It's not what you do from time to time, it's what you do all the time. What is excellence? Being the best you can be per time. Being the best you can be per time. Being the best you can be per time. You can't be excellent unless you are innovative. Unless you keep asking yourself, how can I do what I do better? How can I raise the standard of what I do? How can I package better? How can I deliver better? What do I need? Who do I need? What do I need to let go of? You can't become excellent in everything. You must have a key area of excellence. General practitioners don't earn the same thing with consultants. They are all medical doctors, but they don't earn the same. You can only have 1 or 2 points of excellence. You must become so good at what you do that people, when they think about what you do, they remember you. When they say chemistry, somebody's name comes up. And a school can never be all that. There must be a point of excellence for every organization. When you try to be all that, you become a jack of all trade and master of none. You must decide the area that you want to stand out. And that area must be your area of core competence. Area of core competence. Where you have strength. Where you can compete. Where you are very good. Naturally very good. So that when you subject yourself to slight and further training, you become excellent. Never want to become the best at all things, be best at one thing. If in our school we have the best mathematics teacher in Aba, the best biology teacher in Aba, the best chemistry teacher in Aba, and all the teachers are the best in their fields, the school becomes the best school in Aba. A power base is simply an assemblage of powerful people. Powerful people are people who are very good at what they do. And the best way to raise leaders is to become a great person. To become very good at what you do. So that people who are watching you, as they watch you, they transform. We become like what we behold. Are you still here? Are you still here? If only 5 people get it, we did well today. Become very good at what you do. Become very good at what you do. And there's nothing you do very well today that will not make you wealthy. Nothing. Transformational leaders raise transformational leaders. But you cannot raise a leader that is transformational unless you yourself, you are transformational. The transformation must start from you before you can infect other people with it. One of the things I've been able to achieve within my short stay in this town is that people who have worked closely with me, I have seen their life transform. Sometimes one of my leaders was telling me that the wife was telling him, how come when you write a book, you sound like pastor? It's like people are saying the same things. I said, because we have been modeled. There's something we are seeing. There's something we are seeing. Something we are seeing. Most of the things we do it intentionally for people to see that it is possible. When people around you know how you started, that's why as a leader, don't hide your stories. Don't hide your failures. Don't hide your challenges. Let them even catch you crying once in a while. Let them catch you weak. Don't be too proud to say this is challenging. I don't know what to do. When you don't know what to do, overcome it. Even though they didn't pass through it themselves, but in the realm of the spirit, they have overcome it already because they have known how to do and what to do. Are you still here? Are you still here? Because they can tell you when it happens like this, do it like this, do it like that, and it will come to pass. I have seen it happen before. That's why as a leader, see, can I talk? A transformational leader is primarily a storyteller. You must learn how to tell stories, how to paint bright pictures. That's what catches people's imaginations. How to tell them that where they are is not where they're going to end up. Share your own stories. I was like this before. Look at where I am today. Look at where I'm going to. You too. You can be there if you do this. A leader is primarily a storyteller. When you stand before your classroom, you're not only there to teach them academics, you're there to inspire them for greatness. We're talking about nation building. Inspire them for greatness by how you dress, how you comport yourself, how you say what you say, how you do what you do. You're inspiring them for greatness. After all, they spend more time with you than they spend with their parents. Don't you know that? Your people spend more time with you than they spend with their parents. So you are very pivotal in their lives. If you must raise nation builders, every time you step into your office, to your classroom, you must be a nation builder. You must have that mindset. You must have that mindset. Transformation. Transformation. Me, I go out every day with the intention to touch a life. I have sworn years ago that nobody will meet me and live the same. Once you meet me, you must catch a virus. Either that of hope, or that of faith, or that of excellence. You must catch a virus. So when people come in contact with you, what do they catch? Complaints, negativity, frustration, fear. What do they catch? Do they catch hope? Don't you know that hope is a virus? It's contagious. It's contagious. As a leader, you should be a contagious person, infecting people with what you are carrying. Infecting them with the spirit of excellence, out of hope, out of integrity, out of modesty, out of humility, character. When you make mistakes, agree to your mistakes. But one thing you must infect them with, never give up mindset. Nothing can make us give up. We have come too far to give up. We have won little battles to know that the bigger one is possible. That's why you must start small. Win small battles with your people. Go to the trenches with your people. Win small battles with them. By the time they win small battles with you, win small battles with them, their faith for bigger things have to grow. Oh, set goals, small goals. That this semester we're going to have a 20% increment in our intakes. Even 5%, even 10%, something small. So that when you achieve it, and you say next semester we are doing 20%, their faith can carry it. This nation and the generations unborn, they are waiting for you. The Bible says that the entire creature groaneth and moaneth, waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God. Who are the sons of God? Those that are led by the Spirit of God. They're the sons of God. The Spirit of God in you is not for you to feel good. It's for you to expand the frontiers of the kingdom. God bless you.
No one asks you to clap. If you want to clap, I think you can do better than that. You can do better than that. I think you can do better than that. Yes, yes, I know you're hungry, but you can do better than that. Wow. Wow. Are you regretting coming? Do you feel disappointed? The truth is that we will not stop. It's too late to give up. You know, Pastor said something. He said, if the vision is big, your heart will fail. But don't give up. Say, I won't give up. I can't hear that. Say, I won't give up. I'll keep pushing. That's the blood that runs in us. That runs in us. We can't give up. This city must change. And we will contribute our quota to ensure that our city becomes better. Please celebrate yourself. I want to say a very big thank you to Pastor Wisdom Osiri. I know he's watching. I want to say a very big thank you to Dr. Benjamin Dike. I know he's online, he's watching us. And a very big thank you to our keynote speaker, Dr. Emmanuel Thomas Abraham. And my father, the man that I've sat under his ministration for 10 years. Lion of the born goats. What we did today, we learned from him, and we're still learning from him. Pastor Wani Kebudu. We're becoming better today because God led our paths to cross. I sincerely want to appeal to everyone here. Don't do everything you heard today. Just pick one thing from all you heard. Put it to work and be consistent with it. Consistent in doing it. Not just your life. Not just the life of your family. But your community, your city, your state, and your nation will be better because of you. Just one thing. Commit to one thing. Work on it. Work it. Work it. Nothing works until somebody work it. You see this one, Transformational Parents and Teachers Conference, we're going to work it. We're not going to work it because we want to see crowd everywhere. We're going to work it because we want to collaborate with every single person that we can to start to better the lives of children and families, starting from our state across the nation. We will do that. That is our commitment. This is one of the things that when we go back to God, we will look back and say, Lord, we thank you for granting us the staying power to stay through this to better generations. And finally, I want to celebrate you. I want to say a very big thank you for staying. You've been sitting for the past 6 hours, 7 hours for some of us that came on time. 8 hours. Listening to not just what will better you, but what will better your generation. May God bless you. May God bless you. Okay, I just will have one assignment to carry out whilst I bring up the person that is going to just share the benediction and we leave. We want to call for volunteers. Believe me, we can't do this alone. It's not about EduBase International Schools, no. We can't do this alone. It's about us coming together, collaborating together to ensure that we better our environment, our society. So please, if you want to be part of this, because EduBase TPC for now is going to be a yearly conference. It's not something that we're going to be calling you every time. It's going to be a yearly conference that every year we gather people together, and then we come to hear some things, we come to benefit from some, professionals, consultants, and then we go to our various spheres of endeavor, influence, to start to change things. So if you're here, you want to volunteer to work with us, to be part of this movement, could you please indicate or signify by raising your hand so that they can give you a card, have a card that you can fill, then later we will get back to you to tell you how we're going to work together to make this to happen, to cause this to happen. So if you want to work with us, okay, I'm not talking about those that are already working with us. If you want to work with us to ensure that we keep doing this, to ensure that we keep impacting our city, could you please raise your hand so